Hey everybody, we are working our way through the January 2025 Regents exam in Algebra 1. Okay, this is what the front looks like. Okay, and we have just done a bunch of videos working through problems 1 through 20. Okay, so if you need problems 1 through 20, this is not the place. Okay, go back and find them. They're on YouTube, okay, or Google Classroom. All right, so here we go, number 21. We're going to finish up this part 1, doing numbers 21 through 24 right now. Okay, the function f of x is equal to x squared is multiplied by k, where k is a number less than -1. Which graph could represent where this is happening? Okay, so f of x is equal to x squared, right? This is y equals x squared. This is the parent function of a parabola. Okay, and I'm going to type that into my calculator right now in y equals x squared. Okay, and that's what it looks like. Okay, now the problem asks us to multiply by k, where k is less than -1. So I'm going to change this formula to something where k is less than -1. I'm adding a coefficient. Now, if you don't know a number that's less than -1, right? You're at the Regents, you're kind of panicking or whatever. This is what I want you to do. Here's 0. Here's -1. Here's -2. Right? -1's in the middle. It's pointing this way. Okay? -2 is less than -1. So my new equation is going to be y equals -2x squared. Okay, so in my calculator, I already have y equals x squared. Okay, I'm going to now type in y equals -2x squared and look at the comparison. So I'm going to y equals, I'm going down to number 2. I am typing in -2x squared. Okay, and let's see what happens. Well, first of all, it is upside down, okay, means it opens downward. That's because of the negative. The negative means it opens downward. And if you look, this is narrower, okay, than the original. So let's see what that looks like. Obviously, it's not 1 or 2, because this would be a positive x squared, okay? This looks wider than this one, okay? And this one is definitely narrower than the parent function. So choice 4. Calculator problem. Got to know your calculator. Okay, number 22. From the onset, number 22 looks like a very complicated question, but as you get into it, you realize that it is not that complicated, and it really, really, really goes back to question number 17. Okay, the domain question. We talked about open circles and what that means and how it's greater than or less than with the open circle. And this is exactly the same kind of question, because if you look at your 4 choices, and try to look at those first. I know sometimes we don't. Okay, but if you look at your 4 choices, 2.3, 2.3, 2.3, 2.3. I bet you if you solve this inequality, you would get 2.3. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. 6.4 minus 4x is greater than or equal to -2.8. Now, the first thing I notice is that that equal to sign means that my circle is going to be filled in, which means I'm crossing off this one and I'm crossing off this one. Okay, if I know that my circle has to be filled in, then I know that those 2 answers couldn't possibly be correct. Now, if you weren't familiar with the problem, if you didn't try to do the problem, you'd go, oh, this is greater than, therefore my shading is going to go to the right, and it would be choice 2. Don't do that. Okay, let's solve this inequality because something special happens here. And remember, this is question 22. It happens later in the exam, and they do get a little bit harder, more difficult as the questions go on. Okay, so I'm going to minus 6.4. I mean, you know how to do this, right? So let's do that. Cancels. -4 comes down. Oh, that's it. I'm dividing by a negative in my next step. Okay, in my calculator, I am typing in -2.8 minus 6.4, enter. I get negative 9.2. When I divide by negative 4 and divide by negative 4, right? Divide by a negative, the sign's going to switch, okay? I'm going to get x is now less than or equal to negative 9.2 divided by negative 4. I bet it's going to be 2.3. And it is 2.3. Okay, but it's dividing by that negative that makes this sign switch. So now it is less than. That makes the correct answer choice number 4. Okay, so please be careful. Ooh, that could have been a tricky one. Number 23. Okay, number 23. The number of fish in a pond is 8 more than the number of frogs. The total number of fish and frogs in the pond is at least 20. If x represents the number of frogs, which inequality can be used to represent the situation? Okay, so this is what's going on over here. Okay, x represents the number of frogs. Okay, we also have fish in our pond, and it tells us here, okay, that the fish in the pond is 8 more than the number of frogs. Well, if the frogs are x, then the fish must be x plus 8, 8 more than the number of frogs. So if there's 2 frogs, you have 2 plus 8 or 10 fish. Okay, so this is my setup. X is the number of frogs because it says so right there. Okay, and x plus 8 is the number of fish because it says so here. 8 more than the number of frogs. Okay, now what we sometimes we get into these problems, we don't really read them all that well. Okay, it says right here, the number of fish and frogs is at least 20. Okay, is at least 20. Okay, when we talk about this in class, I give this example. Okay, you have to be at least 16 to get your permit. Okay, at least 16, which means your age has to be greater than or equal to 16. Okay, think about that. That's what at least means. At most, the opposite means that's the most that you can have, so your number is less. So if I have $20 in my pocket, the most I could spend at most would be $20. Okay, so this is your age is greater than or equal to 16. I'm going to start here. Okay, and let's look at my choices. Greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to. Less than or equal to. Oh, less than or equal to. So by just doing that one part, okay, which I think for some people might be easier than trying to do the algebraic part, you can now eliminate 2 answers. Okay, so I have fish and frog. I'm having a hard time talking about that. Fish and frogs, frogs and fish. Okay, if I add these together, I get x plus x is 2x plus 8. Okay, frogs plus fish is 2x plus 8. Come over here. Oh, not right. Yep, is right. Okay, frogs plus fish, 2x plus 8. Next question, last question, 24. Question 24 is historically, the most difficult problem on any exam. However, this one's not too bad, but if you look at these last 4 questions, I think any one of these could be one of the most difficult questions, but I think there was some probably fractions in solving, like earlier on, that are a little bit difficult. Okay. Which graph below represents a function that is always decreasing? Decreasing means it's going down, okay? Always decreasing. Now, if I look only here, I'm looking going, there's only one on here that looks like it's always decreasing because this one is increasing. And then decreasing, okay? This one is increasing and decreasing. Going up, then going down. This one is only increasing. Okay, and this one is decreasing. And then decreasing again. All right, so this one's constantly, well, this one's going up that way, but from left to right, it's going down. Doesn't matter where the arrow is pointing. Okay, but here's the thing. It says over the entire interval from -3 to +3. So let's go find that. -3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, still, this is increasing. Okay, this one. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going, we already know what the answer is, right? This one's still increasing. But in case the question was different, and you wanted to, oh, what's going on in a particular interval, I want to talk about what that interval means. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, increasing, then decreasing. Okay, so the one that is always decreasing, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It is always decreasing over the interval from -3 to +3. So in this case, your answer is choice 4. Okay, thanks for joining me. Okay, don't forget to check out other videos, other exams, other parts of this exam, and have a great day. Bye-bye.